everybody. Mike Beer here with your DRF race of the day for Wednesday, November 16th. The race of the day will be at Finger Lakes, race number 6. It's a 6 furlong sprint on the main track up there. 4 New York bred filly mares. These are allowance horses, several in this field of 10 stepping up in class for this race. And let's take a look at this 10-horse field right now. The race of the day is presented by DRF Bets. Scan the QR code on your screen for access on your mobile devices. Morning line favorite, as you can see there, number 4, Cinderella's Cause, who is shipping back up to Finger Lakes here off of a win at Aqueduct 12 days ago with a 76 buyer speed figure, right on the lead in that win down at Aqueduct just a little less than 2 weeks ago. A horse who has run very well over this Finger Lakes main track in the past, has plenty to offer in this race, mostly because just not really facing that strong of a field. Feels like the main competition for the favorite's going to come from the outside. Post number 10, Trinity Totoli, is 7-2 on the line. Another horse who is coming off of a nice effort. 2 starts back up here at Finger Lakes. Also has back form on the Naira circuit that's going to make her pretty tough in this race. They stand out a little bit in this field, those 2 horses, but let's take a look at the rest of them. Anyway, before we get to the breakdown here, the Timeform US Pace Projector, as you see, gives a little bit of an advantage, I guess, to the number 4, the morning line favorite, Cinderella's Cause, who does have good speed and is expected to use it in this race at what should be a relatively short price. The Pace Projector doesn't give an advantage to either front runners or closers, but obviously if Cinderella's Cause is on that kind of a clear lead at the pace call, I think you could expect her to be, pretty tough to run down for Gary Barber and Chris Englehart. Let's start the analysis, though, with the horse down on the rail. Number 1, Trivia. We'll see what she can do here in this condition. Her last 2 starts, they have risen her up to run in this condition in her last 2 starts. A second and a third. The buyer speed figures leave her a little light. She did win back-to-back races, 3 and 4 starts back up here at Finger Lakes. Both of those against $5,000 claiming horses. She's run okay at this level in the last 2. I don't think if she just shows up and runs, one of those races, however, she's really going to be able to threaten the 2 favorites in here. And at the end of the day, relatively speaking, she just comes in, very light on speed figure. She just looks a little bit slow to win this race, unless one or both of the favorites just fail to show up completely in this race. The number 2 is the New Miami, a 5-year-old mare. She's 3 for 37 lifetime. She's her most recent win also came against $5,000 claiming horses last September. She's 0 for 17 since then. She just ran last week against a field of $5,000 claimers, going 2 turns. Finished a distant third that day. They're going to cut her back in distance here, but she's got plenty to find if she's going to be competitive here. Winter Siren, the number 3, was also in that race. Most recently last week here, going long against $5,000 claimers. Had the lead in the stretch, finished ahead of the New Miami in that race as a very heavy favorite in there, but she could not hold that lead, and she was defeated. Another horse who won races 3 and 4 starts back-to-back wins up here at Finger Lakes. Both of those races going longer. They're going to try to cut her back here against some better horses, and another horse who's just very light on figures. She's going to have to find a way to improve. Did face Cinderella's Cause, the morning line favorite for this race, sprinting up here over the summer and was far behind at the finish as Cinderella's Cause won that race. The number 4 is the morning line favorite, Cinderella's Cause. I don't have a lot really to add to what we've already sort of touched on with her. Comes off of a really easy win, off of a little bit of a layoff in her most recent start at Aqueduct against $14,000 claimers. She was the favorite that day, managed to get to the front early, never really was threatened late in that race. 76 buyer, though. She runs a figure like that. It's just going to make her really tough in here. The most recent start for this filly up here at Finger Lakes came back at the end of June in a similar race to this one, a non-winner 2 life allowance race, going 5.5 furlongs on the main track. Won that race in blowout fashion with a 79 buyer speed figure. Plenty to like about her. Obviously a very good fit here. She is out of the claiming ranks, but she's obviously not stepping up in class for this. She's the horse to beat in this race. Number 5, Stimulus Check, a horse who was listed as a vet scratch last week, so we haven't seen her since the end of October. Another 2-turn race that they ran her in most recently. She was second that day, but a very distant second to a blowout winner in that particular race. 46 buyer speed figure. Another horse who just comes in a little bit slow on speed figures. This is a filly who broke her, I remember breaking her maiden as a 2-year-old in her career debut at Saratoga, and I thought she ran really well that day. She just hasn't really done that much improving since that start. And it's just kind of, hard to get behind what she's been doing in her most recent starts. They've tried sprinting her a couple of times. They've stretched her out for her last 2 starts. Nothing seems to be working for her right now. And of course, as I already mentioned, she was listed as a vet scratch last week. That's got to be some kind of a concern for Stimulus Check, who's got to find her way to get back to one of her really good races. If she can do that, I suppose she could be competitive here. The number 6, Do You Know Who I Am, just isn't really in great form right now. Another horse who I suppose you could argue at least has a couple of back races that would, give her a little bit of a chance here. She's a horse who was claimed for $11,000 last July of 2021. She's 0 for 11 since then, and she just hasn't really been running races that are going to make her, really competitive in this spot. She is one of the few in this race, though, who, has a race or two that could give her a little bit of a chance in here. She does have a little speed to bring into this race as well. Honorable Lily is the 7, 8-1 on the morning line. She had good form versus some, cheaper competition earlier this year at Penn National. She was claimed out of several races down there, a couple of wins, a couple of seconds. She was in good form against sort of weaker horses, and she does, have a little bit of speed to bring into this race. She just really hasn't been very good in her last 2 starts. They gave her a little bit of a layoff. Her last 2 starts at this level here at Finger Lakes, and she ran very poorly in both of those races. Well, trying to show speed, couldn't make the lead either time, and just totally gave way in the stretch. I don't like her recent form, but I suppose you could argue that she does have some back races that would give her a chance here. She does have speed, so maybe they'll be on a dead send in this race. Number 8 rather, is Do What It Takes, 20-1 on the morning line. A horse who does have 7 career wins, but she's another horse who's stepping up in this race out of a bunch of $5,000 claiming races, and she's just on a long losing streak. She hasn't won a race in over a year, and it just feels like her recent form just really doesn't give her much of a chance in this race. She'll be a big price if you like her in this race. Left Leaning Lucy is the 9. Far from impossible for very good connections in this race. The problem with Left Leaning Lucy is she just doesn't win very often. She's very consistent. She always shows up and runs a representative race, but she just doesn't win very often. 2 for 30 lifetime, 13 times settling for either second or third. And the last 7 races of this current streak here have been right here at Finger Lakes, and it's just typical stuff from her. She's run fine in several of those races, hit the board in 4 of the 7, but there are no wins. You have to go way back on her card to get to her most recent win. You're going back to 2020, actually January of 2021 to get to the most recent win. It was a long time ago, but she shows up and runs her race every time. So she's a horse. So I feel like you got to at least take her chances seriously in here. Maybe you want to use her more as an underneath kind of horse, though, because she never wins. The 10, Trinity Totoli. Again, I think she's the main rival for the morning line favorite, Cinderella's Cause, in here. 2 starts back right here at Finger Lakes. We'll take a look at the replay of that race right now. Just an easy win for her. This is on a wet track going this distance, 6 furlongs. I like the ride that she got. Andre Warrior put her right up on the pace at the start. Through the stretch there, you can see the gray horse there in the red cap who's chasing her, Eros' Girl. That horse was the even money favorite, but Trinidad Totally just sort of took the bull by the horns, got control of this race, made Eros' Girl chase, and was never really threatened through the stretch. Good performance there. Eros' Girl was a horse whose 2 prior dirt starts had both come in stakes races, a win in a very close second. So that horse was in good form, and Trinidad Totally won very easily. Her most recent start stepped her up a little bit. Finished 3rd as the favorite over another wet track, 3 races in a row for this filly over wet tracks. But she handled the wet track 2 back. She has better races on fast dirt, a couple of wins down in the Naira circuit back in July on short rest. Those were against claiming horses, but they earned very good figures, and she has great tactical speed from the outside. These are advantages, I think, for Trinidad Totoli, and I do think she's sort of the main threat to the favorite, and here the number 4, Cinderella's Cause. If they bet this race along the morning lines, I can see both of the 2 morning line favorites going shorter than what they're posted at. But if they bet it along those lines and Cinderella's Cause is the favorite, I'll take a shot against her with the 10, Trinidad Totoli. You can put the picks up there now. I went 10-4-9 in this race. I just found it really difficult to get to the alternatives to the 2 shorter prices in this race, the 4 and the 10. I prefer the 10. I'll take Trinity Totoli, hoping she gets the right trip from the outside, whether that means, getting the jump on Cinderella's Cause or just tracking her from their outside. We'll see if she can beat her in here. 10-4-9 in the Wednesday race of the day presented by DRF Bets. It's the 6th race at Finger Lakes. The approximate post time is 2:40 Eastern time. Good luck.